different forecasting methods. And the very first method is moving average. So let's say it's a 3 period moving average and I write it as MA3, which means I'll be using 3 periods moving average. So it means that I will be taking average of the first 3 periods, that's Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. And because it's forecasting, so it means this is a prediction for the next period. So I will write my answer here. So make sure you put your cursor here, you select this one and then write this formula, and that will be average of these top 3 values and hit it. So here we get 51. So 51 is the average of 50, 52 and 50, which means 50 plus 52 and 50 divided by 3. So that's a moving average. And again, as I mentioned earlier, that we place this in the fourth one because we are using 3 period moving average. So we are taking 3 values, and because it's a prediction, it's about something for future, so therefore we write it in the fourth cell. And the next thing is that you can drag it down, and that's called as moving average. And over here, so for instance, I explained about 51. Now this one 51, that's a moving average of next values. So remember, the first moving average, that's this 51, it was for 50, 52 and 50. But the next one is these next 3 values, that's 51, their moving average is 51. And the next one will be next 3 values, that's 50 plus 50 plus 55, and that will be 52. And the next one will be these values, that's 50 plus 55 and 51, and their average will be 52. So this is called as moving average, which means you keep moving downwards. Now the next thing is called as weighted moving average. And for weighted moving average, I'll be using these values 50, 30 and 20. Now in this case, we will assign some weightage to these values. So again, will be as you can see here, there are 3 values, 50, 30 and 20. So we'll be taking 3 period moving average, but rather than taking straight average, we will be assigning them some weights. So 50, this one, that's the latest one, that will be assigned the highest weight, that will be 50%. This one is a little bit old, so we will assign it 30%, and the last one we will assign it 20%. And again, you will write it in front of here. So the formula will be that is equal to this one, and we multiply with 50%, that's 0.5, and then this value, and then we multiply it with 30% or 0.3, and then 50, that's the last value, and we multiply it with 20% or 0.2, and that's it. And if you hit enter, it will give you weighted moving average. So here we have our weighted moving average. And as you can see here, that in this approach, again I would repeat that this is 50%, that was multiplied by with 50% plus 52, that's a middle value, it was multiplied with 30%, and the last value, that's 50, it was multiplied with 20%, and it gives us 50. And then again we can just drag it, and this is our weighted moving average. Okay, now there is another thing that's called as mean absolute deviation, or it's also called as sometimes mean absolute error. Now in this one, let's say the first thing I do is that I would like to hide this column because I'm not using this column right now. So I will hide this column, and I will double right click on this one and click on hide. So this is hidden now. Okay, now the approach for this mean absolute deviation or mean absolute error is that first of all you take absolute value, and absolute value means that the difference that I'm going to take next, which means the difference of 50 and 51, and we know that must be a negative number. 50 minus 51 is equal to -1, and but when we take absolute value, it takes away that negative. So here you see, so you see that 50 minus 51, it should have been -1, but because we are taking absolute value, so it only appears as 1. rather than -1. And then we can again drag it here, and here let me take average. So we take the average of this whole column, and that's called as mean absolute deviation or error. Another thing that we will be doing is mean squared error. And for mean squared error, the principle is that again we will be taking the difference of these two values, which mean our actual data and our forecast. So remember, this column is our forecast and column B is our actual data. So in this case, I will take difference of 50 minus this value of 51. However, we will take square, and the idea of taking square is that we want to get rid of this negative. Again, you know that 50 minus 51 is equal to -1, and we don't want this negative value. So to get rid of that negative, we take square, because you know if it's -1, if you take it square, it will be +1. Okay, I can if you further expand this one, so is equal to 50 minus 51, and we take square, and then if we drag it down to this level, and if I could reduce those, I want to reduce those numbers. So I will go to home, and then from here okay, that seems much better now. Okay, and the next thing is that again we are going to take average of this one, which mean that all these values, their average turns out to be 13. And the last approach is called as MAPE. That's called mean absolute percentage error. And in this approach, again, we'll start with taking absolute value. That's absolute value, the difference of our actual value minus our forecast, and then we divide it by actual one, and then okay, that's okay, and then again I can reduce it, and we get this one, and finally I can take average. And one more thing is that I can do is that I can convert it into percentage, because you see here MAPE, and P stands for percentage, that mean absolute percentage error. So I will convert it into percentage, and now so here we go. So this is called as mean absolute percentage error.